The Senzu Bean, an iconic aspect of the Dragon Ball series first introduced in Chapter 89 of the manga, or Episode 62 of the anime, and for hundreds of episodes it has been the go-to narrative fix when our heroes are in a bind. So it was only natural when the first set of the Dragon Ball Super card game dropped, it would include a card called Senzu Bean, and that said card would be an absolute mainstay in the game, even now, 14 sets later. Senzu Bean is easily one of the most used cards in the game, as it is more or less an automatic inclusion in any and all decks that run blue cards. The art in DBS has been getting better and better lately, in my opinion, and while Senzu Bean has maintained its status as a competitive card for over 4 years, how has it held up aesthetically? Let's take a look at it. We have prominently in the foreground a brown bag, potentially full of beans, with 4 Senzu Beans next to it and a revived Goku in the background. It's kind of goofy looking with the simplistic graphics behind the bag, but the bright light behind Goku does well to help convey that he is reinvigorated. That light certainly fits in with the style we would expect of Dragon Ball. I think that Goku looks fairly good on this card. The line work is a little thick, but not too thick. The lighting on him looks good, especially with the subtle details in his hair, and the little marks of damage are a nice touch to tell the story of the fight he's been in. Where I think this card falls short, however, is the contrast of the Senzu side and the Goku side. This lime green background doesn't really look good next to this background of yellow, orange and black. I think to improve this, you could change the colours behind Goku to work a little bit more complementarily with the green. Overall, it's a fine looking card in the context of being a common. You expect the art department to put their best work on the higher rarities. When I first got into this game around the time of set 5, the truest advice I ever received was, get yourself a playset of Senzu Bean. Problem was that was easier said than done. Although it was 5 sets old, my local store did still have some Galactic Battle left. We didn't have the issue that we have now where the game is popular enough to sell out of a set by the time the next one drops. However, we did have the problem of power creep, which is of course still a little bit of a problem on some level, though it's been much better in recent sets. For example, set 11 stuff is still doing well in the time of set 14 meta, but the gap between set 1 and set 5 was a fair gulf, so buying Galactic Battle wasn't generally worth it. The main cards worth pulling from it were Senzu Bean and Objection, both common cards. Or so you might think. Turns out buying a full box of set 1 gave you the odds of pulling 2 copies of Senzu Bean, allegedly. I would occasionally ask for Galactic Battle as my prize support, but I only obtained 1 bean this way. Eventually, with a regionals on the horizon and my best deck requiring 4 Senzus in it, I had to accept that I would be paying double digits in order to get myself a playset of this common card. So thankfully, for anyone who got into the game from that point on, Senzu Bean was reprinted. First in the anniversary box released in June 2019 with a brand new art, and a fantastic one at that. This new art is exactly what I wanted in a card called Senzu Bean. Representing the moment when Goku returns from Snake Way and rushes to the fight with Vegeta and Nappa, we have 3 panels on the card, not dissimilar to a manga page. One of Goku falling at high speed, one of Korin on the edge of the tower's balcony throwing the Senzu Beans that get a close-up in the middle panel. There's a lot to love in this card, and I definitely like it more than the original. Comparing the card to the inspired scene in both the anime and the manga, we can see that the art on the card isn't a cut and paste job. This card is available in foil as well as non-foils, delighting the people who like to max out the rarity of their decks. The foil version adds golden rays emanating from the Senzu Bean. Let's focus on Goku, and the first thing I want to point out are his eyes. They are rounder than they are in the other Senzu Bean, true to the style of the manga and the anime as they were drawn at the time. Goku is nice and big as he flies or falls headfirst from Kami's lookout, with blurred white lines helping to show the speed he's moving at. He spills out of the panel into the next one with the angle of perspective on his body giving the image good depth. It's a little bit subtle, but he also has a golden aura around him. This is Dragon Ball, so we know what that means. He is radiating energy, having just finished training with King Kai. Korin is bottom right, and though he isn't as prominent as Goku is, as far as where your eyes will look when first taking in this card, he is close to the same size in the image. The depth on Goku separates the distance between him and Korin. Even though they're in different panels, and yet very close to each other on the actual card, you get the sense that Korin had to throw hard for Goku to reach the beans. Besides that depth, this is helped on by the little bead of sweat on Korin and the lines coming off the beans. Having the beans in their own panel is important, I feel, for a couple of reasons. One is that they are rather small, so they need the close-up on them to be seen, really. The other thing about the panel being separate is you get to give them this yellow and orange background that highlights them as important and complements the blue sky in Goku's panels nicely. This does right what the original Senzu Bean does wrong. A little bit of brief color theory tells you that opposite colors are complementary. Taking a look at a color wheel, and we see that the opposite color to the primary color of blue is orange. That's why they look good together. Meanwhile, on the original Senzu Bean, we have lime green opposing yellow and orange on the card, but they do not oppose each other on the wheel. In fact, they're just about next to each other. However, that doesn't mean they can't work together. What you want to do is make them split complementary. In order to do that, we need to add a third dominant color. Adobe has a cool tool for working this out, and using it shows that the color that's going to do the trick here is purple. The blue on Goku and the card almost does the trick, but not quite, but whatever, moving on. As the Senzu Beans in the anniversary box were not guaranteed in your reprints, you still may have had a hard time getting your hands on enough, so luckily they were reprinted for a second time, this time in the Magnificent Collection, released in October 2019. These reprints were guaranteed, so that was great, although they aren't the best looking version. All the reprints in the Magnificent Collection follow the same template. The main image of the original version is reused and is bigger on the card, with them not being shy about the image finding its way into the card text area. A prelude to Foil Commons full art-like quality in the newer set, perhaps? Darker shadows on the character and a background of the image again, blown up and in the colour of the cards. The words Magnificent Collection and a slash through the middle. The darker shadows make it look moodier, and combined with the background gives off a darker, contrasty look. Goku is mostly covering up the words Magnificent Collection here, which is a good thing. If that was too prominent, it would probably make the card look a little bit tacky. Some of the Magnificent cards fare better from this treatment than others. For example, the Set 6 Goku and Vegeta cards I do like. The 1-drops benefit from the characters being larger on the card, and the 2 and 3 drops benefit from the darker shadows really making the red and blue hair on Super Saiyan God pop. Time Magic, on the other hand, doesn't work for me. I think it loses a lot when you strip the telltale signs of Whis using his time rewind ability. The light coming off him, the hourglasses, the backdrop of space. So, do I like this Senzu Bean art better than the original? Well, not quite. It probably sounds like I've criticised the original more than this one, but where I think the original edges out is it is a brighter card. The contrast on the Magnificent Bean takes away from the positive vibes I feel a Senzu Bean should give off. So after all these reprints and you still haven't gotten your beans, well, Battle Evolution to the rescue. The half new, half reprint set once again comes up with the all-important goods, though this time it's just a straight reprint of the original art, though with one key change. It's now the Unison Warrior block, so that means there is a chance of a foil full art version. More rejoicing from the max rarity crowd. It was hard getting them in the old days, but now I have enough Senzu Beans to satisfy even Yajirobe. Maybe. And finally, we have the new reprint coming out soon in the Mythic Booster, and here we see Bandai injecting a sense of humour to the card. One of the most memed moments in Dragon Ball Z, it's Goku giving Cell a Senzu Bean so he can wail on his own son. This is the best looking version of the lot, once again taking a multi-panel approach that really works well to stitch a story of what would be two separate shots in motion together. Manga is read right to left, and so too is how to view this card, but in the West we usually read left to right, in writing and in looking at an image, so the size of Goku on this card helps draw your eye to the correct starting position, with him throwing the bean to a slightly confused Cell, and backing that up are leading lines in Goku's panel pointed at Cell, as well as lines from the motion of the throw. The lines in Cell's panel point at his hand, making it nice and clear that he caught the bean. This is a gorgeous card and I can't wait to get my hands on it. My personal ranking of Senzu Bean art would have to go with the Magnificent Bean at number 4, the original in third, second place will go to the Anniversary Sensu, and Gohan's worst moment ever in first. Now that we have 4 different versions, I can run my playset as one of each art in all my decks. So which Sensu Bean is your favourite? Tell me in the comments, and if you like this video, please give it a like. It was a labour of love, and I have more videos like this planned, so subscribe to see them when I upload. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again on the next one.